At the start of Season 2, Harlan started out as an innocent young boy, but some fans fear that he could become something far worse the next time we see the Umbrella Academy. If you haven't seen the second season, hit pause because there are some serious spoilers coming up. It's hard to top the moon exploding, but we were left with some cliffhangers that could mean big changes are coming for our heroes in Season 3. This season of the Umbrella Academy frankly left us with a lot more questions than answers. We still don't know why all those kids were born on the exact same day at the exact same time, or why they were imbued with supernatural abilities. Obviously, Harlan didn't fit the criteria, but that didn't stop him from acquiring some of the most dangerous abilities we know about in this fictional universe. Harlan ran away from his house and thankfully, Vanya was able to rescue him from the nearby lake and revive him. Can you say babysitter of the year? Well, unless you ask Carl, who might have a couple of complaints. There were plenty of clues something was going on with Harlan. He seemed to connect with Vanya when she broke a window out of frustration. He drew a picture of himself flying, and he reacted when Vanya was being electrocuted by the FBI. Once Carl tried to take him to an institution, his powers really got out of control. And perhaps the biggest testament to his abilities is the fact that the handler tried to win him over to her side. It's clear that Harlan has incredible powers at this point, and even though Vanya thought she had removed them, the fact that we saw him levitating a toy bird begs to differ. Vanya's already caused 2 apocalypses on different timelines that we know about, so needless to say this means Harlan likely has access to a vast well of strength. But just because someone can blow up the moon doesn't mean they're going to. So what would make sweet little Harlan become a villain? In the first season of the Umbrella Academy, Harold Jenkins was a villain who brought about the apocalypse by manipulating Vanya, despite the fact that he had no supernatural abilities of his own. In fact, his bitterness about his lack of powers was what drove him to do this in the first place. When it comes to qualifying for being a villain, a monstrous attitude is much more important than superpowers. We certainly didn't see any evidence that Harlan is a wicked person, but his powers may be an exception to this rule.
One chance to tell me exactly what's going on in that lab.
Most of us would probably say that Vanya is also a nice person, but that didn't stop her from causing the moon to explode, which just goes to show kindness can only take you so far. In the second season, she was surrounded by people who loved and cared for her, and she could still barely avoid causing another apocalyptic scenario. Sure, Harlan has his mom who loves and cares for him, but I'm going to guess Sissy doesn't know a lot about superpowers. If Vanya could barely be contained by the strength of her siblings, a robot mom, and a talking monkey, what hope does Harlan have for causing a massive amount of damage whether he intends to or not? And don't think that just because Harlan was left behind in the past doesn't mean he can't still be a threat. First, traveling through time happens frequently in this fictional universe, and Harlan ending up in the present day could be as simple as a single commission suitcase being left behind. Or it's possible he'll simply live long enough to cause trouble in the future after possibly having his powers suppressed at some point the way Vanya's were. Maybe, in her efforts to help Harlan, Sissy may end up giving him medication that will stifle his abilities until he stops taking them.
What the hell were you thinking?
Then there's that massive cliffhanger of an ending. Our heroes ended up in the present day shortly after the world should have ended, only to find out that Ben and Reginald are still alive, and the Umbrella Academy is now the Sparrow Academy. This new avian branding could be a major clue that we haven't seen the last of Harlan Cooper. Did you happen to notice the insane amount of bird references this season? Elliot complained that there were too many pigeons at the park, we saw them flying around barns and over vans, and the toy Harlan made levitate was a little bird. It seems way too much of a coincidence for there to not be some kind of connection between Harlan and the newly formed Sparrow Academy. We know Reginald originally started the Umbrella Academy in an effort to prevent an apocalypse, so is it possible that he started the Sparrow Academy to combat Harlan? This season made it clear that back in the 1960s, Reginald had no idea that superpowered children existed, although his own kids showed up to shatter that illusion. Now that he knows they exist, it's possible he'll want to look back into the matter, and it wouldn't be that hard to connect the dots and discover that Vanya stayed with Sissy and Harlan for an extended period of time. Considering Reginald did a top-notch job with raising the Umbrella Academy children, I can only assume that he would be every bit as empathetic and loving with Harlan, which definitely wouldn't leave the boy with psychological issues whatsoever. The fact that the Umbrella Academy kids are heroes rather than villains is actually pretty amazing, but it seems likely that Harlan won't be as lucky when it comes to learning how to cope with his powers. What do you think will happen in the third season of the Umbrella Academy? Will Harlan be the next big villain? And will this tie into the newly formed Sparrow Academy? You don't have to be able to time travel to share your predictions with us in the comments. Oh, and hey, make sure to subscribe for more videos from ScreenRant. Thanks for watching.